What? You tell me you haven't seen the World of Death yet? Ah, oh, come on, bro. First watch that, then watch this. If you watch the series, then come back to this video. Hello guys, today we're going to be ranking all of Season 1 from my friend Electr Productions. Hope you all enjoy, and let's get started. Coming in last for me is Episode 2. Now, let's start with the pros. I really did enjoy the tenth section of this episode, especially the talking scene in the night where all the characters got to know each other for the first time. And Cobb telling a fun story was pretty well written in my opinion, and was enjoyable. And I gotta say, the cliffhanger at the end also had me wondering what would happen in the next episode and what he was saying "oh damn it" about. So that had me wondering, yeah. My first issue is that I feel like the story is somewhat vague. We see a lot of different people in different places without any explanation. Also, I thought that the action sequence in the beginning of the episode was somewhat rushed. Next up is what started it all, Episode 1. And I have to say that I do not dislike this episode at all. I thoroughly enjoyed the storyline because we get to see Mitch and Sam for the first time here, and seeing them fight some mutants was fun to watch. We also learn about David and Sophia, who apparently lost their kids Danny and Logan, which was very very sad of course. The army part was a cool idea, and the explosion and those burned zombies look really dope. After that, Cobb and the others meet Sam and Mitch, which was nice to see, and they fight some more mutants. But there is one major issue with this episode: the actual quality of the stop motion. It's impossible to avoid this. It's so hard to watch when it's so blocky, and really this is my only reason why it's so low on this list. But again, this was a long time ago, so yeah. On number 6 stands the mid-season finale of Season 1. There are some very enjoyable parts in this episode. For example, I like the fight scene between Sam and the mystery person. This fight was really cool and well coordinated. It was enjoyable, yes. We also learned that the mysterious person is Sam and Mitch's sister, which was a shock to me, and it was cool. It was definitely cool. Then the mutants coming to the camp was really awesome to watch. It was such a cool scene. Unfortunately, it was a bit short, but nonetheless, we saw that Mitch took some leadership by dividing the group into 2 teams, and that was nice. But I have one issue with this episode, and that is that some of this does not add to the overall storyline. The talking scene in the beginning of the episode was not really needed. And if I have to be honest, I do not watch this scene super often. Still, I think this episode was good, but not good enough. My number 5 pick is Episode 6. Now, firstly, the intro scene, where we see Greg warning the rest of his group that they have been attacked by Bruce and Sam. That was a complete shocker to me and really creates a hype for a possible fight. Then we have the scene in the car, which was also good and really shows how wrong Josh was for leaving the camp. Here we also see Donald interacting with Mitch, which was nice as well. And also, this episode has a very good cliffhanger at the end, with this evil gang, I don't know their name, now knowing the location of their camp. This had me really pumped up for the next episodes. But where I feel this episode lacks is of course action. I think this was intentionally written this way, be this needed talking episode, but you can't ignore the fact that literally the whole episode is just talking. I get that it's necessary to have the group reunite and talk about all kinds of things, but this is of course a little less interesting than seeing some zombies on screen, but it wasn't all that bad, just a little boring. Right in the middle of my list comes Episode 7. First we have the shooting practice scene with Cobb and Donald. That was okay, but probably the weakest point of this episode. But still, we see Cobb and Donald getting to know each other, which I hope will be further developed in Season 2. Bruce and Trash are getting some more screen time, but man, Bruce, going on an adventure in the zombie apocalypse, that just asks for trouble. Still, the zombie kills were much more enjoyable to watch with the introduction of Clay, and it looks so much cooler and more realistic. A large portion of this episode is with the evil gang preparing their attack, but also capturing Bruce and Trash and leaving them for the dead. Super good cliffhanger in my opinion. But the only downfall with this episode that it kind of lost focus on who the main characters are. We only get one line from Mitch and 0 from Sam. That was a bit disappointing, but anyways, very solid episode with some minor errors. On my number 3 spot comes episode 3. This episode was the first episode that got me hooked on this series. It was such a step up from episode 2. We start out not with only what happened at the end of episode 2, but we skip over that and get to see the aftermath. This is a different kind of storytelling, and I was really impressed by how it was written. Something has happened, but we don't know what, but do know that the group had to leave their camp because of it. And Cobb thinks it's all his fault, but Mitch is trying to convince him otherwise. Then we get to see what happened, and that was just an amazing action scene. An explosion occurs and attracts a big herd of mutants coming for the group. Such an amazing scene. The funniest scene comes in this actually, because the truck gets blown up, but they still manage to drive away in it. And I've memed about this many times. And at the end we get to see the mystery person, which was teased last episode, fight against Sam and Bruce. That was also a nice addition to this episode. On my number 2 spot stands episode 8, which may surprise some of you and probably Electr Productions himself, but yes, it's not my favorite. Before we talk about the big battle, let's review the other things that happened in this episode, which was Bruce and Trash escaping their sticky situation. They actually get rescued by Jasmine? That surprised me for sure. Didn't think she was a good guy. And after they escape, she leaves again? This would have been the perfect time for her to talk to her brothers and maybe her joining the group. With that out of the way, let's talk about the big clash of the two groups. This is the big climatic battle that has been teased for months. And does it deliver? Hell yeah it does! What an amazing gunfight, really enjoyable to watch, and I will remember this episode for it. Super amazing. I only wish mutants would have shown up. That would have made it even better, I think. The camp gets destroyed and the group gets split up. And let's not forget the death of Bruce. Really sad for Trash in particular. And Trash and Sam have a sort of fight over this. And they probably never want to talk to each other again. Really depressing and stunning season finale. The best episode from season 1 is in my opinion episode 5. This episode perfectly makes the jump from only mutants being a threat to now also people being dangerous. Sam and Bruce encounter 2 burglars that want their stuff. But Sam is having none of that and just straight up slashes Antonio in half with his bike. Definitely the most gruesome kill so far. And what follows is an amazing gunfight. The next epic part in this episode is the supply run. David and Mitch are going to a supermarket, but they're taking a sneaky little man with them. Josh has snuck into the trunk of the car because he was bored. Poor Cobb was trying to amuse Josh and then he just runs off. What an unthankful kid. But the supply run itself was very enjoyable to watch. We got some mutant kills, and this is where Donald makes its first appearance by saving Josh. Stupid boy. Mitch and David don't trust this guy at first, but then they find out that Donald saved Josh and he can join the team now. Some more mutant kills before they leave the building and drive back home. Honestly, this episode is so well rounded that I can't say a single bad word about this episode. Or wait, one thing. So yeah, that was my ranking. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe and leave your thoughts on his series down below. And for now, goodbye.